everyone. I'll call tonight's meeting of the Canandaigua Town Board to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilperson John Casey.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, Ms. Cross, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember John Casey,
Present.
Councilmember Terrence Penalty,
Present.
Councilmember Adeline Rudolph,
Present.
Councilmember David Sauter,
Present.
Supervisor Jared Simpson.
Here. Can you also confirm that tonight's meeting was properly advertised?
It was.
Excellent. Okay, I would like to introduce, there's a new face behind the camera over there. Sue Ciron started on, was it Monday? I can't, actually last week. Today is Monday. Started last week, keeping things going up and around. Just gonna be taking over the Zoom for our meetings. It wasn't as rough as some of the starts that we've had, but we had plenty of time, thanks to Kim Burkhart for being here and getting things up and running on the way. Otherwise, we'd probably be upside down and we'd all be little red and black, little screechy lines going all the way up and down the screen. But thanks for getting that together.
And Sue is your new.
Yeah, Sue is the new confidential secretary. She will be working with several of us at Town Hall, and we're grateful to have her. Has a lot of background, a lot of experience, brings a lot to the table. It's already started. It's a lot more work that I've got to do, which I'm realizing. So, which is good, you know, keeping that load going.
Welcome, Sue.
Yes, also welcome. So we will begin tonight's meeting. We have 3 presentations on the docket. We are going to start. So you guys, we don't want to make you late for your meeting. Otherwise, you might have to do push-ups or bring snacks next time. So we'll turn the time over to Chief Deputy Falbo from the Ontario County Sheriff's Department for his enhanced law enforcement report.
Good evening. So I hope everybody had a chance to take a look at the report I provided. I've modeled it after the yearly county-wide report that I do for our annual report. And I mean, as you can see, for the accident-wise, the crash data, it shows, I put it in the top 3 roadways with the most amount of crashes in the town. And just to kind of show you the data that we look at when we deploy the traffic enforcement, whether it be your enhanced law enforcement contract or our PTS grant, or even our deputies that just patrol during their shift hours. We also respond to community complaints, and obviously with the enhanced law enforcement contract, whatever the town wishes us to do. So the enhanced law enforcement contract that should also have a copy of, that provides that we perform at no more than 20 hours per week for a cost of $29,000 per year. Typically, we don't hit that, and that's simply because these contracts are made so that they are our part-time employees that work them. Obviously, you probably need a larger budget for our full-time employees. And our part-time employees are spread pretty thin. They do a lot of duties. They work our boat patrol in the summer. They work all our court security contracts, which Canandaigua also has. We contract with 11 townships in the county for either enhanced law enforcement or court security. Presently, we have probably 3 deputies that regularly work enhanced law enforcement. Typically, it's 1 or 2 that work the town of Canandaigua, Farmington, and Victor. So that's why the hours, were low last year. There was also some other reasons. We were in our accreditation year, and our part-timer that typically works Canandaigua was heavy into accreditation for several months at the beginning of the year. So if you note there, we had a total of, there's 252 hours on the year. That's 252 hours for 2023, using a total of $10,042 of your budget. This year, for 2024, we already have 70 hours into the year, for the first couple of months, so it is looking up for our part-time deputy. Who obviously doesn't have to deal with accreditation right now, so he's out there working. So, is there any questions on the report I provided? I know the one part of the contract specifies that we focus on Middle Cheshire and County Road 6, and you'll notice that there's not a lot of enforcement action taken on those roads. And I will say that they are worked. There's just not there's not the amount of violations on those roads. It tends to be, those roadways tend to be roads where people appear to be going a lot faster than they are because they're smaller roadways, 2 lanes. And typically you get in 45 speed limit on Middle Cheshire to a regular citizen could look like somebody's going 60 if they're going 50. We do often have our deputies do traffic reports on those roadways so that they're actually sitting out there and they're clocking every vehicle that goes by and keeping track, so that we can at least present those as well at times and say, we are out there. There's just, even though it may seem like it, there's not a lot of speeders going on. These are, in a 1 hour period, we had one person that was going over the, more than 10 over the speed limit. So that's why you don't see a lot of actual enforcement on the roads that the contract specifies, but they are out there presence. They're just not citations being written.
And you meant 16, not 6, right?
16, yeah.
County Road 16,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
I live on Middle Cheshire Road, out towards Wells Curtis. Speed limit out there is 55, and it's regularly violated, I know. I've had people on Middle Cheshire Road approach me and ask me tonight to bring this up, that while the contract does specify that that's where the concentration is supposed to be, rarely seen out there. And I'm not out there watching every day, but I really don't see Keith or anyone else out there that often. And I know one of the people that made a complaint to me, they volunteered to let deputies sit in the driveway, and she happens to live very close to the speed sign that we have by Silverdale Drive out there. And you can watch people go by and look at that.
Yeah.
They're up there, but there's nobody in action. So it's not that often that we see somebody out there. So that's supposed to be the concentration. Yeah, we see reports from other parts of town where tickets are handed out for various infractions, which is great. But I know people are speeding out there. I've seen it. I've been behind people taking off from me, go by that radar sign, and they're going 62 and they're pulling away. And I mean, there are people out there who certainly deputy to sit in your driveway or to, have a greater presence just to try and slow it down, because, I mean, if people are speeding out there, probably live out there.
It's typically that's the case.
And they know where to slow down and know where to speed up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but, I just wonder, is there some way that, for the coming year, since they're not gonna be tied up with accreditation, that there could be a greater presence out there,
This,
visible,
Yeah.
visual presence, that it might help to,
yeah,
nothing helps
absolutely.
like stopping somebody too, that really
Yeah, and
creates a,
usually, our deputies, admittedly, there's times where if they're sitting in one spot for so long and they're not writing any tickets, they get bored, they go to move to a different spot where they can write some tickets.
Right.
So it may be the case where he's out there, because I did check, we have the our CAD system that shows where traffic stops will be made, and there are traffic stops being made in that area, which is important being out there. But it may not be too long enough to catch the actual speeder. So we can certainly deploy him more and any other part-time deputies out to that area and get some traffic reports written, and then pass along to the board.
I think that would be a big benefit.
I don't know.
What Terry
Terry,
did.
Terry, is there a time, I mean, when you look at these reports, there's time frames that, is it busiest people coming home from work or?
Oh, sure, busy,
Yeah.
5 o'clock.
Yeah, that's what I'm
People pulling
saying.
into Lakewood Meadows, Waterfront
Right,
Point.
if you look at the
Very
data,
like
it
that,
looks like
but-
Friday and like 3 to 6 PM is the.
But from what I've seen, you see, people coming out of the city, coming from bypass up Middle Cheshire Road, heading south. There'd be 8, 10 cars in a row. They're not speeding. When you're in a group like that, they're more apt to be
Right.
cruising, well, whatever the first guy's doing, you know. But they're in the morning early, going the opposite way. I think it's more, from what I've seen, the off times, not the peak travel times, but it's more when there isn't much traffic on the road. There's no one ahead of you.
Yeah, and if I could get passed along the addresses to where residents are okay with their
Sure.
patrol cars sitting, because that is another issue specifically with that road and County Road 16 especially. There's no place really for the patrol cars to kind of pull off and sit without being very noticeable.
Right.
Well,
Um,
the Schoolhouse Park would be a good spot
Yes.
for County Road 16, so.
Yes, and so, and because the radar units we have, they're not, the ones that are used by the part-timers aren't the lasers, which we can certainly get those in his hands as well. But yeah, if we can pass along some addresses, I'll send them out to those locations, have them sit and do traffic
Sure.
reports. And
Okay.
then we'll get traffic reports
Good.
done and pass along to the board
Definitely.
to show the presence and what we're seeing out there.
I mean, even to do even if it were to take to get more bodies out there, I mean, we're comfortably within our budget. We were comfortably within that last year. Even if it does take having another officer, even if it's not the part-time or somebody else who, you know, and I know you day to day, you don't know what things are gonna be like, but have somebody available to sit in one of those spots. I mean, cause I'll come down here quite a bit. Weekend, Saturday, so whenever I'm coming by here heading into town. And the firehouse, there's a lot. There's always one there in front of the fire station, right out there. So you do notice that. And I'm sure that makes a big difference coming down 5 and 20, coming that whole area, you crest the hill, you see somebody there. So, you know, as part of that, but you notice it's like several nights a week, almost. You know, maybe I'm exaggerating and I didn't even remember today was Monday, but you know, it's frequent enough that it stands out as, you know, they're there a lot.
Yeah, there's certain places our deputies, they go to their spots to do their paperwork, and it also provides the secondary, you know, presence for traffic as
Yeah.
well, so
We
it may not be.
could give you some great paperwork spots too. To do.
Yeah. Well, so if you pass along some addresses,
Yeah.
you know, we'll get people out there and specifically this, again, this is your contract with us, so.
Right.
We take whatever the town wants us to do with it, we certainly will do. You know, we do look at some of the data and try and also, you know, send information. We're getting, hey, we got a lot of accidents this week over, you know, on this road or on County Road 332, you know, go sit out there when you can for a few hours. So we do also deploying where we see the need is, but obviously with it being your contract and your town budget, we can deploy wherever you would like us to as well and provide that information back to you so that you can make the decision on whether you think they should continue to use their hours up there or elsewhere.
Is the
We
town
did-
board more interested in visible presence or tickets?
Visible presence.
Right. We're more interested in slowing.
Yeah, slowing people down.
Cover that.
I think they come in and
I want that,
Yeah.
I think you got that from what they were saying, but I want to just make sure that's a consensus.
Presence is, I mean, tickets and presence, really, it's a matter of slowing people down, reducing accidents, reducing personal injury crashes. Those are the main goals, whether tickets are being written or not. Presence does account for doing that, so.
We did also have some residents come and ask for more of a presence in the hamlet of Cheshire area on State Route 21. Concerned about there's that significant reduction in speed in the hamlet and leading up to the hamlet too. We are going to be having some signage there indicating your speed coming in and out of the hamlet, but that was definitely an area that some residents had expressed some concern, and I'm sure all of us have seen that. People speeding through Cheshire as well, so that's another spot I think is important. I also wanted to ask, I was kind of alarmed. I know we have a lot of miles of highway in the town of Canandaigua,
We're highest.
but it's kind of alarming that we're the highest total crashes by town in all of Ontario County. Which-
It's second highest, I think Victor was highest.
This is Victor at 145 and Canandaigua at 149, so. At least that's what this one says. So. Which Victor obviously has a very large mall and huge commercial area there too, but
Well, I'm sorry, that may have been a typo by me.
okay.
Either way, it's an awful lot.
Yeah,
So
I'm
either way,
pretty
it's a lot.
sure Victor is typically every year, so I'm gonna double check on that and I'll give you the.
It's
answer.
your second to last page on the chart there, so.
We won't tell Jack here.
Well, no, I mean, I was really, you
Well,
know,
I mean,
it is hundred and 49 total crashes.
yes, Canandaigua does have a significant amount of cracks comparatively, and that mostly comes from Route 332 and 5 and 20.
Yeah, I
These are
saw
state highways, and that's why we deploy our PTS grant traffic enforcement there as well. We typically have been getting the maximum amount from the state, and we utilize this crash data to identify our target areas, and 5 and 20 and 332 are certainly on that list.
Are there specific intersections that are having more crashes than others?
No, well, not in particular, the data is done across countywide, Route 5 and 20. It's pretty spread evenly at intersections. I mean, the highest contributing factors usually always fail to yield the right of way. People pulling out in front of other cars, trying to beat them, trying to beat the light, trying to beat the stop sign. And they tend to spread out throughout the county. That's why, different from years past, the last couple of years with the PTS grant, I've opened up the entire highway from East Bloomfield all the way to Geneva as a target enforcement area, because that data is spread out pretty evenly.
Okay,
And with Route 332, this year we found that despite all our efforts, actually last year, for some reason, accidents increased. We had the second most amount of traffic enforcement hours and citations written on 332, and somehow it was an anomaly. No, usually that goes down, and we've seen significant decreases when we're out there as much. It was an outlier for 2023 that where they increased despite all our efforts, and that's what caused a spike in Canandaigua's data as well for Route 332. But Farmington actually did have more crashes on 332 than Canandaigua did.
So,
those failure to rights way.
Anecdotally, would you say it's, how many of those occur that are uncontrolled? Take your life in your own hands and turn left or U-turn. Is that a significant portion of what you see, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's either fail to yield the right of way because of those U-turns, those intersections, trying to beat the light, not paying attention, excuse me, or the rear end accidents, which also occur at the stoplights. People not paying attention, they rear end the car in front of them, following too closely, citation or contributing factor. Those are the two areas, and for the traffic safety committee, which I sit on as well for the county, it was mentioned that the state potentially is looking into some sort of
Next year.
rework of 332. So we actually provided them a lot of information in hopes that they take that into account to try to make those areas safer, those U-turn areas and those.
Well, they're getting rid of the uncontrolled. They're only going control red, yellow, green arrows.
Yeah,
That's
so
it.
we didn't get that much information.
Okay.
We were just told that they have plans and
There
nothing
you
was
go. Yeah.
specified. So we provided a list of things that we thought could help that roadway and reducing accidents.
It's not on here, County Road 16 for motor vehicle accidents. That's good. They're not, none on there. But for the speed that we face on Middle Cheshire Road, because I do agree, thankfully that we've only got 4 compared to 7. County Road 28 with 16. I imagine most of those are probably closer to that intersection as well, would be my guess. County Road 28, excuse me.
Yeah, County Road 28 actually was probably higher than it usually is. And I didn't get into specifically every contributing factor for County Road 28, but again, typically what we see those intersections and speed as well. I say speed, especially during the winter months. We're going too fast on slippery roads.
Any other questions from the board? No comments? Well, thank you so much for what you do for us. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for bringing your son with you.
Yeah, don't take this as a negative, it's a
No,
constructive,
no, I
We appreciate
these
it.
contracts are for the township, so.
Yeah,
By all means, we take any suggestion,
Yeah.
whatever the town wants, that's.
So we'll
guys
get you-
pay for those services.
we'll get you more of that information
Yeah.
and more of those places where you can locate.
And I know what, typically Sergeant Eggerson, who he runs the actual day-to-day assigning the deputies, and signing them up for everything. And he sends the monthly reports out, and there comes time towards the end of the year where, and you may have gotten it last year, I don't recall, it was for Kennedy specifically, but he'll make the request based on the hours and what's left in the budget, and how many hours are being worked for the town. If you want to have part or full-time deputies out there, and then if so, we'll sign up, we'll put overtime details out there for the
Okay.
full-time deputies to work overtime. Those are hit and miss because we have a whole lot of details that we cover
Right.
as well, but we usually get some others working as well,
Okay.
so.
please pass along to all the men and women in your department how
Yeah.
much we appreciate the fact that you guys are willing to
Everything you do.
strap that badge on every day and go out there.
Yes, sir. No problem. Yeah,
Really
yeah, this,
appreciate it.
we've got a really good, young new crop of deputies who, are out there, especially the last several months. They're out there, enforcing traffic pretty heavily because we just kind of pushed on. It's not about, as much as you see everybody putting on Facebook that it's, about getting money and this and that. County gets no money from tickets, right? We get no money. And I've constantly presented the deputies the data, and I always try to show them the reasons why we're out there doing enforcement. Because when we have significant amount of traffic enforcement going on, we see the direct correlation of crashes and personal injury crashes. I mean, there's a clear direct correlation that can be seen in all the data with proactive traffic enforcement. When our staffing numbers are up, where we suffered greatly when we were down several years ago. Traffic enforcement down, crashes went up. But now our staffing is great and traffic enforcement's up there and crashes are going down. We had an overall reduction in our target areas. I wrote in there 4%, but the personal injury crashes is the big one. But we had about a 16% reduction over our target areas. There was a point in time last year, during our PTS grant, during the first quarter of it, where we actually had a 45% reduction in personal injury crashes and 19% overall crash reduction rate because we were out there 10, 12 patrols a month throughout the county. And then we just had to scale that back a bit for budgetary reasons.
Have you seen any crashes at the Cooley Road, 5 and 20 Hickox Road intersection since they added the light there? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. I don't know.
No, that's okay. I don't know specifically offhand.
Okay.
I can certainly find out.
I haven't seen it. I mean, for what it's worth, I haven't seen anything
Yeah.
in that term.
I don't think I have.
Yeah, that's
some
right, 'cause
things-
there's a new light there, so
Yeah.
I can,
Not as scary as it was.
Yeah, oh, it's so much safer now.
I'll go that way now.
Me too.
I can certainly do a comparison. When did that light off?
August?
August,
Yeah.
last summer,
Yeah, August last summer, 2023. Yeah, I can certainly do a comparative analysis between the years prior and how much we've had since the
Yeah.
light went in to see what effect it has had. That's not a problem.
All right.
that'd be awesome.
you.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank
for
you
your
very
help.
much. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for bringing your guests.
Yeah, enjoy your meeting.
Chief Deputy made a good point. You should just mention it for anybody on Zoom or the audience. The town gets very, very little out of the fines paid for.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we don't get,
Yep.
It's not a significant source of revenue.
all right, and actually, we try to reduce and divert a lot of
care.
those.
Thank you.
See ya. To education and other programs, other training programs for the drivers too. All right, let's make them back up here. All right, so now we have another presentation by the tree team. Dennis, you're representing.
I figured we would have a packed house because I thought everyone would want to hear about the tree trees.
I'm excited to hear about.
I know, this is awesome.
Could you go to the, what you did in 2022?
Yeah.
Thanks. I think it's before this. I think you have to go. Oh, no, it's not. All right, just a quick overview. We held Arbor Day at Richard Allen House Park. We planted three maple trees. We visited all the town cemeteries, town parks, and also the town hall campus. We spent a lot of time working on the development of the Heritage Tree Program, which you'll hear a little bit more about. We started to make a list of recommended trees for town residents. And we helped the cemetery committee, and in the past year, we worked at Sam Hill. We held a workshop for the park maintenance staff. How to plant trees and also on trimming trees. Met with the city tree team. And we gave advice on the landscaping and tree planting at Motion Junction. We were contacted and there were, I guess, a lot of complaints about how hot it is up there, so we made some suggestions there. Next one, 2024. Purpose, the reason the tree team was originally organized was to basically look into the tree health at our park, cemeteries, and town hall. We make recommendations as to what condition the trees are in. Offer advice on what should be done, removal or treatment, and also give some ideas as to the planting or replacement of trees. We will continue, as we have the other years, visiting all the cemeteries, parks, and town hall campus. We will hold an Arbor Day on April 26th. Exactly where and what will be planned, we don't know yet. The next two will depend on whether the town board approves our Heritage Tree Program. But we will make the public aware of the Heritage Tree Program, plus locate our first heritage tree in the town. A lot of great trees around. We have a lot of old cemeteries, and of course, old Ananda Park is old. So there are a number of older trees. We're talking about 200, 300, even 400 years old. We will continue working with the maintenance supervisor, who is Andy. He's phenomenal. This year, we're going to look into making some recommendations for additional trees, probably at Miller Park. Originally when that park was developed, we put in 85 trees, 15 or so have been taken out. We're looking to replace those, plus increase the number of trees there. We'll continue to work with the town cemetery. I think this year we'll be working at the academy, or not at the academy, the Sand Hill Cemetery. We're working on finishing up the list by Dan Marion that we designed, dealing with the types of trees that are desirable and that residents might want to put into their own property. We're looking into doing a tree inventory. This is something that's pretty lengthy and difficult. We're going to at least start looking into it. We'll continue working with the town staff, the park staff. And also we are planning on opening a workshop for the residents. Having such topics, with planning and placing of trees, and we'll continue to meet with the city committees. This will be our fourth year. 2024 will be the tree team's fourth year. Phenomenal changes in the cemeteries and parks as far as trees, as far as removal of the trees, treatment of diseased trees, replacement of trees. What we do is we give our report to Lindsay. She's been doing a great job. She meets with her staff, is phenomenal. Andy has been just phenomenal. I saw another a week or so go trimming trees down at Richard Hart House Park. Really a lot of changes in our trees. And then the big one, the Heritage Tree program, which is just a quick overview of it. I gave you hard copies, and residents can find it online. Introduction, basically, when we look into a heritage tree program, we just want to make people aware of trees, and the importance of trees, the value of trees, how trees can be used. It's not a competition or whatever. We have a guideline of criteria, and that goes from where it starts with guide for selecting the heritage tree. I'm not going to go through all the different things. You can look at those. About 2.5 pages. And then there's page that talks about how to determine the age of trees. This is a general age, and then the second to the last program is really for the residents, talking about nominating a tree. And again, some of the criteria deals with space, size, age, historical significance. I'm not sure if we have any historical significance trees, ecological value, aesthetics and location, etc. We can take one of those, we can take them all. And then at the last page is a application that the town residents have handed in that they think they have a heritage tree. Our goal first is to find 1 or 2 trees on town property, kind of get our feet wet. Choosing a tree, then there's some beauties. All heritage trees would have a plaque, basically just with some summary as to what kind of tree it is, the size, age, that type of thing. And we have no idea. Maybe in the next 10 years, there'll only be 3 or 4 heritage trees. Really, you have no idea how many there are. As far as private property, we're asking that the heritage tree be located so the public can see it without going on any private property. So that kind of narrows it. So that's it. I don't know if you have any particular questions.
I have a comment. I'm very excited that you're going to be doing a pruning event for the public, but even more excited after being on the ECB that you're working on the list of desirable trees for planting by town residents. I hope that we can somehow engage with either the planning board or the planner as well to supply that to developers so that they can find trees that are likely to do well here, that are native species to the area, et cetera. So I think that's super awesome.
Yeah,
And
I think that's one of the reasons of doing it.
well, and then just real quickly, the people on your tree team, oh my word, the experience level of the people on that team, we are so lucky to have these people willing to volunteer their time with the town. I mean, it's an amazing team, so
The individuals that are on the tree are phenomenal. Their knowledge is something else. I know Andy will call once in a while and ask questions.
Dan has what, a PhD? I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, they know
So,
their stuff.
it's amazing,
So one comment, any other questions for the board? Yeah, from the board before I have a comment, go ahead.
Couple of comments, Dennis. I applaud you for your efforts and thank you for your efforts. I think that's wonderful. I know that when I was building my house, our architect wanted me to cut down a couple of trees that I was adamantly opposed to cutting down, and consequently I did end up saving them, and I'm still very fortunate that they made it through the construction and built the house. But to my disappointment, a neighbor a few doors down had some very large, and I think they were open maple, I'm not sure, I can't tell the species of trees, but just for view, they ended up cutting one of the trees down, and it makes me wonder whether if they had known how long that tree had been there, what it took to survive, et cetera, maybe they would have thought twice about whether they really wanted to cut it down or not. So I applaud your efforts. And just for your information, you did mention cemeteries a lot in your presentation. The cemetery committee is visiting the Wolverton Cemetery on the 18th of April. I don't know if you knew that or not, but you might want to talk to Karen and make sure you're there and when they visit and see if there's any helpful suggestions you might be able to make.
There are nice trees down there also.
There's one that wasn't so nice to the graves that
Yeah.
are there, and but yes, I think that there could be some significant trees there. So thank you.
And along that line, a couple of months ago, I don't know if the property had been sold or was for sale. There was a piece of property on New Michigan Road, and it was a wooded area. And we were asked for our input, because I guess someone wanted to put a large structure on it, et cetera, but we went and evaluated the trees, and there are some beautiful trees, and there are some trees that are 200 and 300 years old, so my understanding is the individuals kind of changed their mind or came up to something.
The other thing I just want to ask for my own edification is that you talked about taking a plug out of a tree in the report that I saw, and it made me wonder, is that harmful to the tree in any way?
Yeah, it's just, it could be, yes. It's
I
not
kinda wondered
something that we want to do,
Uh-huh.
but it is one way that they do determine them.
But it could be harmful to the tree in the long run, right?
It could be, yeah, especially with diseases.
Keep them from getting older.
I know, like,
You've got to introduce some kind of,
Something in there.
potentially some virus or bacteria
well, I know that
that are in the tree.
there are some nails, if I'm not mistaken, that can actually put it in the tree, it'll kill the tree. So, yeah, that's just, when I saw that, it just questioned.
Once you start to go inside.
Yeah. So,
By the circumference and the height of the tree, you can have a pretty good idea as to.
so where it is. So for the board's information, and also I had mentioned this to you when we were kind of talking through you presenting tonight. The plan is to have this tree team, the Heritage Tree Program information on our next agenda. So we will approve this as a board to roll forward as something that we will adopt as a town. And that way, once we adopt it, then we can start, getting more, I think with the program, that'll get people excited to see, what do I have? And then looking around, and that's the whole point of it, is, what cool tree do I have on my property, or does my neighbor have that I can tell them about to save? And then hopefully that word will spread. And we can preserve some of these big, these big revolutionary trees, or these big, witness trees that have been and seen so much. Been around for so long.
Just the awareness is very
Yeah.
important, like John said, maybe people have been aware.
Yeah, just preventing something. So that's the plan for the meeting on the 25th, is to have a resolution approving this moving going forward. So thank you for all your hard work.
Have you had many people apply for the Heritage Tree Program yet?
No one's aware of
We
it.
haven't-
We don't have it yet.
No, I thought that was on the website already.
Well, it was, but.
It will be.
She got a little excited.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah,
He's had people approach him with interest.
There's
Yeah.
some nice trees.
yeah, it's a beautiful tree.
Our first tree we were gonna find on the town property.
Yeah.
Is there Dennis, with all these characteristics, that you look at? The scoring system, to be a heritage tree, it just has to be old and healthy.
Could be,
There's no
there's no,
measure that
No.
happens in that.
it might take, there's a list of things that were on there. Does it have to meet them all? No, it might only meet one.
So there's
It's pretty open.
some subjectivity there.
Yeah, it's pretty.
DBH probably drives a lot of that though, just from age of the tree, right?
Well, if you gotta go like this to the tree.
Yeah, yeah. They're a good one. That's a good choice.
Terry will be the official tree hugger. And he will hug the trees and we will measure to see how far we can get.
Is it 4.5 feet to Terry's arms?
Thanks for doing this, Dennis.
Thank you,
There's
Dan.
there's a lot of great trees in our
Yes,
town.
thank you for being here and doing that. All right, now, someone who wears many hats around here and also helped us save the day
Always does.
and was down here getting us surviving through our, through the Zoom setup with a new account and everything else.
Well, I'm
Kim
glad I
Burkhardt.
could help.
So thank you for being here.
Yep.
The chair of our Environmental Conservation Board.
Okay, if you could have the. Perfect, thank you. Last year, we had 11 monthly meetings. We didn't meet 1 month because we had a number of people who were out sick, so. One of my suggestions for 24 is maybe having an alternate member. So they can slide in if we have outage, so we can keep quorum a little better. Last year, we reviewed 37 projects with 50 different applications. We don't review every application, but we probably review at least half of what come in. So when the ZBA and planning board are busy, so are we. We give information to the homeowners on ways that they can improve their projects as far as the environment goes, and we also give recommendations to the ZBA and planning board. I was a new chairman last year, and we currently
Thank
have
you for doing that.
What?
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah. We currently have 6 members, including myself. We're looking for 1 more. We just had a person come to our March meeting, which was last week. They want to come to our April because we had a little bit of a different sort of meeting. It was very atypical for us, so they want to see something else. So that's fine. That person's a professor and birds are their specialty. And we submitted 7 newsletter articles last year, 5 town hall displays, and I included that in the other document with some of the details on those. We spent $1,500 to help plant shrubs in Miller Park last year. Let's see, we had originally planned BioBlitz and an environmental fair, but when those were scheduled, we were very busy with applications, and so we're kind of tabled those for the time being. Let's see, we did a memo for the Heritage Tree Program. We did a German Brothers and Senate zoning memo. We reviewed the local laws and had given feedback on those. Let's see, what else have we done? We reviewed the open team policy document, and we commented on the pervious paver review referral from the ordinance team. And so upcoming for 2024, besides our regular things that we do, like the reviews, we're planning on projects kind of similar to what the planning board did. They took on individual projects. And so for myself, I'm going to look at proposing maybe some laws to the ordinance committee and hopefully starting the pollinator pathways program. In our town, there are some other towns locally that have that. And it's just it's a way for homeowners to kind of have a little bit more visibility on the changes that they can make in their landscaping and gardens to help those. Edith Davey, she's going to work on a work party in the town parks to remove invasive species. Eric Obenauer is also working on that. He's also working on creating a new member orientation guide for ECB. Justin Demand, he's going to look at making a handout for the development office to hand out for homeowners and developers on native trees, plants, shrubs, kind of dovetailing with the tree teams. It's just to help people know what to what to plant. Patty Venezia, she's looking at creating some sort of pond care information. She's not sure if she's gonna bring somebody in for a talk, or it's gonna be a document. But that will be pond care. And then Gary Cookersberger, he's looking at working with the ordinance committee on variances that are frequently granted, and maybe doing a bit of a report on what the ZBA is doing. And he's also interested in a lot of the climate smart and clean energy initiatives that are, I think you're already part of the climate smart community program.
Yes, we are.
So he's gonna look at some of those a little bit. So that's what we're planning for 2024.
Well, this is fantastic stuff. First of all, as someone, back in 2020, when I first came onto the board, we kind of went through a turnover of ECB chairs. So I was on it for a couple of years, chaired it through COVID, through the Zoom meetings and other things. And then as a board member and then elected supervisor, then Adeline stepped in and did it. And, we kind of kept it going, but with this, all I can say is, wow, and thank you for continuing to push forward with us, continuing to look for different ways and not kind of getting in the same old patterns. There are a lot of great different ways of looking at things here that hadn't come up before. So thank you for doing that.
Yep. I'll do.
I would be remiss as a representative of the planning board, especially, not only does the ECB do all this stuff Tim just said, they also produce really detailed reports and meeting minutes that are very helpful, I believe, to the planning board. And very detailed and obviously take a lot of.
Was very helpful to the zoning board also. We relied on those reports quite frequently when I was on the ZBA. And I just say, you mentioned birds and somebody potentially coming out of your
Yes.
committee relative to birds. I want to say about 20 years ago or so, I was involved with the construction of the School of Ornithology Laboratory in Cornell. And that was a fascinating project. And one of the things they specialized in was detecting birds sounds that they thought were extinct and trying to extract them from the environment to see if some of these birds were still alive and living. And it was just really fascinating. So I think that your work is well worthwhile. Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's, any way that we can help you going forward, with your committee and with membership, let us know if you want to add that alternate so you can make sure that you have somebody.
Okay.
We're here to
Is
help.
that something that would?
We need to change. We need to
I'm
change.
looking right now.
No,
Okay.
we can't just talk about, we'd need
Yeah.
to change the structure of the committee of the ECB, because it was created by the town board
Mhm.
as a committee. So we need to go back and change the organizational structure,
Okay,
but it's not something that's too difficult to do.
yeah,
So,
I thought that one.
Don't be afraid to make any of those changes,
Okay.
is what I'm getting at.
Very
And
good.
then we can go through the steps that we need to put them in place.
But you think you've got a person for that open spot now, probably?
Maybe.
Okay.
We also had another person just submit a resume. They weren't looking specifically for the ECB, they were looking for any openings, so I'm not sure how well of a fit they might be, but I
Okay.
passed it along.
You've got some interest.
To the board.
Yes. So we want to keep it full.
Okay, sure. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you, Ken.
And double thanks again. All right, so thank you, everybody, for your presentations. There are a couple other items that I did share. We're not going to go into great deal on these. The board members have an outline of capital projects that were narrowed down by town staff. So we had highway, we had parks, we had finance, and we had planning representatives. The four people from those departments got together, they looked at the large list of capital projects. And they narrowed them down and kind of ranked them in a priority order. This is just highly tentative, highly preliminary for your information prior to, there's probably going to be a greater discussion of this at the finance meeting. But just so there's a copy of that information there. So everybody has that. Same dollar amounts for the most part, but it gives their input on the project for number one, so you have that. And the second item that I have shared.
Can I just say something?
Sir.
So that people looking at the total number don't think that's the total number coming out of the town necessarily. A lot of it looks like it's improvement districts and stuff like that. It's not all just
Right.
necessarily the town needs to come up with that number.
Right. And it'll,
Make that point.
exactly. So we have different areas, different mechanisms for paying for this. And yes, it's not all on the town tax base. It's not all on the general tax base of the town. Thank you for pointing that out. So that is that. And then the other item that I have for you is the tentative recruitment brochure that Ian prepared that will be going out. This is just the overview. This has the information. This has the job description. This has the org chart. And this has been because we said we wanted to move forward and not kind of be tied down in between board meetings. With meetings and several iterations, this is what has been kind of green lighted and ready to go.
Will be going on, this hasn't gone on yet?
So that, sorry, let me rephrase that. This went out, he started putting this out, with Lindsay coming back, this will be put on other sites, but this is what is out.
You saw launched.
Yes.
Right.
He soft launched it on his website, this will be put on, ICMA, it'll be put on Indeed, it'll be put on national job searches, he has a national search board with about 5,000 other agencies, representatives who are on that, so that it'll be put into those areas too, same areas that we had discussed previous as part of his application. And then my clarification is we will be making that with Lindsay back. We'll be making the updates for our part of the information. So we have this on our website and on our pages as well. Right. So then he will be gathering. He has a 29th date for what he's looking at, so that gives a few, little over 2.5 weeks from when he started putting it out there soft, to see where they are, and strongly encourage so there is some flexibility on those dates when he starts getting the information and gathering that and getting it back and working it to us. All right.
Well, now we all want to read it, Jared.
I know everybody wants to go through and read it and look at it. And this will be posted. This will be posted and uploaded for everybody to see, so everybody will have access to this. All right. So I have to say again, Ian has been great to work with through this process. Everywhere that I went to for conferences, last board meeting, which I heard was a little bit longer than this one might be. The last board meeting, I was able to meet, when I was in Albany, I was able to meet with him a few times and other people talking about him and just his rapport and the level of respect he has throughout New York State and throughout the region and nationally is amazing. So we're fortunate to have him. We're fortunate to have him working with us on this.
Fortunate that his price point was lower than 20 grand. Or else we wouldn't be working.
Exactly,
That
no,
might show you how well versed he is in municipal government.
right, yeah. I mean,
It's not his first time.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
and yeah,
Sharp guy.
he's amazing. All right, so let me bring this back up. Sorry. about that thing.
Are we, this is going live then this week sometime?
This has the approval, this will be going up. I'll be discussing to make sure that we have this up on our documents, our information. And the go ahead was given for the soft launch, and then it will continue to be pushed out through all of those other national searches and all the local searches.
Are we still
Um,
intending to talk about this on Thursday in the finance committee meeting?
yes.
Okay.
Have more discussion on that.
It'd be a long finance committee meeting.
Well, yeah.
Talking
it's
about,
up
there's
there.
only like 12 things on the agenda.
It's up there on for academic partners.
Yeah. I gotta steal that because I can't pull mine out. No, I have to steal this.
Well, if it's already on his website, he is that well known and that well
Oh.
respected.
I can,
Anybody and everybody knows it.
I
So
bet he sent it.
when I was talking to him 2 weeks ago, he already had probably half a dozen people who had already been talking to him about it. So, yeah, he's connected. He's very well connected. All right, so other than those two items, I do not have any other business to come forward. Is there any other business?
Yeah.
That's the,
April 8th.
thank you.
What'd you
I
say?
would have forgotten.
April 8th.
That's why you're here. April 8th, we have our board meeting scheduled, our workshop board meeting scheduled for April 8th. There is another fairly significant event happening on April 8th as well. So,
The way you read it, it could be apocalyptic.
so we might not need to worry about,
So,
we might not need to worry about a board meeting on April 10th. We will plan a subsequent follow-up board meeting
if we're still here.
if we're still here. We will need to reschedule that meeting.
Wait,
Um,
what are we doing or?
We have the meeting is April 8th.
Yeah.
With all the traveling and all the people who are in town, out of town and everything else, Terry brought up that we should probably look to reschedule the meeting on April
Oh,
8th.
okay.
So,
Cause it's dark by then anyway.
yeah, I know. But people will still be on the roads and
Yeah, okay.
snarled and whatever else might be happening. And we might not have electricity, who knows? I'm just saying that jokingly.
This really feels like Y2K. I gotta
So April 10th was proposed.
I have a conflict.
You have a conflict, April 10th.
say. I actually don't.
This is why we went through and did all of our others, yeah.
I'm available that week, other night.
Do you know, Jared, what's scheduled to be on that meeting?
We were gonna do the continued discussion of we'll have the finance documents, the capital planning. And that was gonna be the next discussion on that. Now, since we might be able to do more of that in Public Works. Would there be any desire to cancel the meeting for April? Due to that,
Oh, this meeting?
yeah,
Reinstatement.
if needed, if necessary. I didn't see any hands go up quickly enough.
Sure, go ahead.
So I would,
Andrew stuck.
and
Mine was up there before you.
it was, I didn't even finish the sentence and John had his hand up to cancel the April 8th meeting. I'm just saying. So I'll entertain a motion because of the eclipse and because it's a once in a century event. Does not preclude the fact that we might need to have another meeting in that time if we can't accomplish the things at ordinance, which we probably at Public Works, which we probably can with that financial discussion. So I will entertain a motion. Mr. Casey, was that a motion to cancel the meeting on the 8th of April?
Not reschedule?
Not reschedule at this point. We're gonna cancel with the ability to reschedule if necessary, if we need one for that time. Do I have a second?
Second,
Took you an awful long time to get that second out there, Mr. Fennelly.
getting tired.
Okay, so I have a first and a second on the table. All in favor of canceling our board meeting on April 8th because of the solar eclipse?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right,
We will have the,
Tara's birthday party?
we will have a public works meeting Friday before that.
Yeah.
So
so we can have that discussion, and then we can see how it goes, and if we need to, or we can
Make
add
that
another
the
public works.
primary Event of that.
Yep.
You said 3:20.
I know.
Public Works
It'd be over
on
by.
the 5th? Not on the 12th? I thought Public Works is on the 12th.
Thought it was on the 5th.
Friday of the first full week of the month.
Yeah, that's not a
There's
full
no
week.
Sunday.
It is.
Monday's
April
the
1st is
first.
a Monday.
Oh, so you're calling that a full
And I'm
week?
not kidding.
I thought that was, you were including Sundays in your full week things.
So it's the 5th, okay. I would add. I'm not gonna add anything, so I just forgot what I was gonna say. I'm not gonna add anything, which is good for the board. Is there any other business to come forward on the board at this time? We do have a privilege of the floor. Is there anyone who would like to be heard at this time? Is there anyone online who would like to be heard at this time? All right, I would add also that we will be having probably in June, on the first meeting in June, we will be having a meeting of the boards where we combine all of our boards and have a workshop. A workshop meeting, so that will be tentatively the 10th of June. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.